Once again, I know this is not your problem. A little difficulty sleeping, so please give me your energy and I'll give you a full day, okay? But that means please, 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 yes or no. I'm begging with you guys. Okay?
Okay. Yes.
I did, one of the things I've said, and I meant it congruently, I'm not kidding. I left my shoes here in the room too, there they are. I normally wouldn't wear sandals with socks. I'm not that fashion unconscious. But I really am going to stop doing these. That's not a joke. So this is the last one I'll ever do here in Europe. And if I do another one, it will be in Los Angeles. But I am going to switch my focus exclusively to working with private clients. This is just too much. I enjoy these, but it's just too much work. And it gets to be repetitive for me. So I'm not joking. You were here at the last one I'm ever going to do here in Europe. And the last one I'll ever do is Los Angeles. And then after that, I'm just going to redefine where I spend a lot of my time. My time is going to be spent with private clients, doing personal change work and business consulting. So if you do have a business and you want to know how to use these tools to persuade your employees or the people you have to sell to, I once again encourage you to get the Mindframe Persuasion course. It's $497. This is the application of all this stuff to selling. I'm not joking. And you will recoup your investment within 6 months if you use what's in there. For another $100, you get everything I have for sale, including courses that are off the market and you can't get, including courses I did when I was working with Major Mark. Does anyone know who Major Mark is? It's the only opportunity to see those courses. They're not available anywhere else. So once again, when we're going to take a couple of buying breaks, I encourage you to go to the back of the room if you haven't done so already and take advantage of that special. You're saving $4,000. You get everything I have. I think the Mindframe Persuasion course alone is worth that much money because you will. I don't make guarantees, I'll make a guarantee. You will make your money back on that course, at least triple it within 6 months. Or I'll give you, just say, I want a full refund. I'm not kidding. That course alone is worth that special we have in the back of the room. That said, I do want to talk a little bit about my criteria for working with private clients. We've already used up, 5 people already grabbed the free Skype sessions. For the rest of you, the way the Skype works is, now there's going to be, these people aren't necessarily clients, you're just doing half hours. I have 3 slots open. The way it works is you have to commit to at least 5 sessions. It's $450 a session. They run anywhere from an hour to 90 minutes. I record them, then I send you the video file. So 5 sessions is $450 a session. If you buy 10, it's discounted to $350 a session. I absolutely guarantee my work, and you have a year to use those sessions. The way it best works is if we set a time every week when we do them. I'm a little disappointed that William and Charles, who are using this in business, were not here. So if you are interested in becoming, I'm not joking about this, seeing me privately coming out to LA, I absolutely guarantee my work. For 2 days, you can cut the camera on this, Dougie. I have been doing shorter talks, like 3-hour talks. I did this talk for people in San Diego, and I created this presentation called Secrets of the Naturals. And just for fun, while we wait for people to come in, I want to give you what some of the secrets of the naturals are. These are people who I've looked at and done some modeling. So here's the first secret. Naturals, guys who, and I'll define that as someone who does well with women and doesn't have too many dry spots, and they don't settle and they don't chase. Someone once said to me, don't try to sell women, be the brand that women want to buy. I thought that was brilliant advice. Naturals never see failure or overanalyze. If something doesn't work out, they usually just shrug their shoulders and move on to the next girl. Listen to me, it's the woman's job to worry about what happened. If you were to take notes, and this is going to be in the footage, I would take that one. It's the woman's job to worry about what happened. I'm not saying you shouldn't go back in that deep hypnotic state I showed you and review what you could have done differently. And we're going to get into the categories of what you can review, but I've just found that. Secret 2, naturals know that looks are in what the woman sees. Looks are in what the woman sees. In other words, women look at us through the emotions and the physical body feelings that they feel. They don't look at us necessarily objectively. That's why I think I've always done pretty shitty at internet dating, because I can't convey my charisma and my personality through a photograph. I just don't photograph that well. I don't look as devilishly handsome in pictures. Does this make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Natural secret number 3, naturals don't fight themselves. When they move, they're not self-conflicted. So when it's time for them to, quote, make their move or do what they do, there's not another part of them that's saying, don't do that. And Haley, I know, spoke about this yesterday, that if you're strong in your reality, if you're congruent in your reality, women will follow right along with you. But not only will women follow along with you, it's my teaching to you that most people will follow along with you. If you create rapport, and let me take a little sidetrack to talk about that. Rapport is not about showing someone that you're interested in the same thing they're interested in, right? Rapport isn't even necessarily about people liking you. Rapport is about an unconscious connection. It's about the unconscious mind of the other person having some kind of connection with your unconscious mind. And I believe that you create that first and foremost through a willingness to be flexible and enter the world of the other person. Do you follow? Yes. I really need all your energy. Please, yes or no. Yes, yes, no, or maybe. All right?
Yes.
Please. Okay? So that willingness to temporarily enter the world of the other person and do your best to really genuinely understand is really, really powerful and really, really important. My pathway now, if I'm going to deal with a woman, is what I call sexualized curiosity. I do my best to get genuinely curious about what a woman is interested in. Her passions, her escape, her indulgences. Many of you, I know, feel that you run out of things to say to women. And I don't think that's really the situation. It's not that you run out of things to say, maybe you do. You run out of things to get interested about. Now, it may be that she's boring as batshit, in which case take off. But I think often it's the case that you simply don't know how to get more interested. So among the questions we ask women are, when you really want to escape and cut loose, what is it that you really, really enjoy doing? And then ask, what's your favorite part of that? Or what part of that really, really gets you into it? I mean, if you were to describe it in a way so enthusiastically that you would get one of your friends who normally wouldn't do it to try it, how would you describe it? That's a really good one. And then you turn around, this is the formula. You get them talking about things they're passionate about, interested in. You ask them, what do you enjoy most about it? Or this question, if you wanted a friend who was reluctant to try it, to do this with you, how would you describe it in a way where your friend would go, yeah, let's do it? By the way, everything I do has the opportunity to embed a command. So when I say, if you could describe it in a way where you would get a friend who you really wanted to join with you, how would you do it in a way where your friend thinks, let's do it? You understand? And you can be that blatant. And now, how many people think they're afraid they'll be caught? Right? How many people have been, quote, caught? And what do you say when you're caught?
Just keep going with it.
Keep going with it? Or I've had occasionally women say, are you trying to hypnotize me? And I stole something from one of my original teachers, Richard Bandler. I said, yes. And it's my job to do it in a way where you feel so wonderful. The best feelings you've ever had that set you free to do the things you've always really wanted to do. So anyway, when you were a little girl, was there some kind of candy that was the king of your candy castle. Now, why do I like to switch to that? It's a non sequitur, it gets her off the topic, but also it creates just a little bit of an age regression. When we go to persuade, and I put seduction as part of a subset of the world of persuasion. If persuasion is this giant globe, then seduction is a subset of that. When we go to persuade, we want to capture and lead the imagination and the emotions of other people, but we also want to establish that we understand, or at least give the illusion that we understand the other person's world. Because people generally will not take you as an authority on where you should go, where they should go, unless they accept you're an authority on where they're at. Does that make sense? Please, yes or no, please. Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
So, inside of that, inside of showing curiosity, I use every opportunity I can to offer suggestions and commands. Now let's talk a little bit. Let's unpack that. The little small, yes.
Sorry, just a question about rapport. Yesterday you said that you noticed how she changes her body language.
Yes, I've often said to women, I'll notice it. I'll say to women, stop. Don't change anything. Don't move position. Look at the way you're sitting and look at the way I'm sitting. And it'll be absolutely identical. You understand? They'll be in the same. They go, wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll say, yeah, isn't it? But I want to talk about the structure of commands and suggestions. Yes.
Sorry, I couldn't finish the question. Other people sort of say, when they teach NLP, they say mirror her.
I understand. I don't think that mirroring and matching someone's posture creates rapport. I think it's the result of being in rapport.
So it's a check for you to say, I am in rapport.
Yeah, it's more of a check than a technique to create the rapport. This I learned from Tom and Kim. Tom Mazzini and Kim McFarland, Essential Skills, essential-skills.com. We're thinking of doing a joint persuasion seminar where they would teach all the nonverbal skills, anchoring and rapport, and I would teach the verbal stuff. Does that sound interesting?
Yeah.
That'd be fucking great. That would bring in some people. Yes.
For me personally, I have, as you know, my job. One of the things I've tried this material with success.
Yes.
It works perfectly.
Say that again?
It works perfectly.
One more time?
It works perfectly.
Specifically to do what?
To get the outcome you want.
Okay.
That's the main
Right.
test I have done.
Now, please don't ask me a question that's filtered through as a hypnotist, because that's one of your stuck points.
I understand. I've been reflecting on what you said, and I'm actually processing that. But for me, what I feel when I'm seducing someone, sometimes I feel that I'm in an advantage regarding that person.
Yeah, so?
My skills are superior. So sometimes
So, that's the
I
point.
get self-pity for the person, and that's a
You
main-
get pity for the person because your skills are superior. That assumes that you're going to harm them or hurt them.
Yeah, I guess that's a main-
And see, I draw a distinction between manipulation in a bad way and manipulation in a good way. Manipulation in a bad way involves the following things: violating boundaries, pushing down on people's pain, guilt, suffering, and fear, using coercion, saying if you don't do this, you're going to suffer, force or violence, lying about your intent, or lying about facts. I don't mean little things. Like if you say, well, Debbie, I was watching a show on the Discovery Channel. It's inconsequential. You understand?
Yeah.
But lying, like saying, I am a movie producer, when in fact you are a plumber. I don't think there's anything wrong with being a plumber. Plumbers make good money. Do you understand?
Understand.
Do you follow where I'm at?
Yeah. Perfect.
You get me? We get you, sir. So, what I'm doing are delivery vehicles for commands and suggestions. And commands and suggestions take the form of, many people will say, what's the difference between a command and a suggestion? They're really, really so strongly overlapped, there may not be much of a difference. But commands are little pieces of language that tell someone to do a behavior, feel a feeling, do a behavior, feel a feeling, think a thought or thoughts. Okay? So a command would be, give me a glass of water. That's not what we're going to be saying, but you get it? Or come home with me tonight. Or let's do it. Or, do you understand? That's the command. Feel a feeling would be something like, you know, as you're sitting there listening to me and really tuning in and getting more and more excited about being able to stop and imagine a time in the future. That's a very powerful word, by the way, stop. And imagine a time in the future. There's a command. Imagine a time in the future. Imagination is a version of thinking, right? So as you're sitting there listening to me, I don't know how able you are to stop. And imagine a time in the future, say 2-3 months from now, really having mastery of all the skills you're learning this weekend. And as that's taking place, I don't know just exactly how you'll begin to think about all the things you'll enjoy and feel how good that will feel. But maybe as that's taking place, you could even imagine a time in the future really, really being excited about how this has worked for you and looking back at your decision to buy today as having been the start of all of that. Now, I find when it comes to my ability to make a decision to buy, that's part of the process of realizing, wow, this is a good thing to take that action. Now, as you go by the table today, I'm not sure exactly what will trigger this entire chain of thinking, but as it takes place, I just want you to know I'm happy that I've shared this in a way where you've really joined me in this discovery of something that's so good, I don't need to say anymore. You can take your own word for it and convince yourself that it's really a good idea, isn't it? Now, let's stop. Stop just a minute. Do you remember really too much of specifically what I said? No.
Going by it.
No. But what I'm doing here is creating a mind frame. I'm creating a frame of thinking and emotion for you to look at the action that I want you to do. So oftentimes before you give the command to do a behavior, you want to set up a chain of suggestions and commands that tell someone how they're going to feel and think after they've done the behavior. Do you understand? You don't want to move through resistance, you want to go after it has already been resolved, dissolved, and then have them look back at how good they feel having done it. Now, let me finish, so let me unpack this. That little bit of language was an example of different commands. As you go by the table, what does that mean? Buy at the table, but also go by the table after you buy something today. Buy something today. I'm not sure, as you sit there and you begin to imagine how good it will feel. Right? I'm telling you to go for a feeling. So imagine this, do this. What would be some ideas of some commands that we could give a woman about how we want her to feel? Feel what? Debbie, it's, you know, as you sit there, I often realize that when people don't make a connection and begin to feel nauseous, really get that desire to escape and run away now. Some people think it starts with a churning, disgusting feeling in their stomach, and other people just visualize how awful it will be if they don't get the fuck out of here now, Debbie. I'm not going to do that. But one way to practice these things is to use it with negative or nonsense content. Do you understand? Because it will teach you the process, how the structure, what the algorithm is. It's one thing to memorize what I say. Because certainly when you memorize what I say, you can get excited about how much you know this stuff is really going to work for you. Do you understand? And I certainly am happy to say to you, follow along as I continue to share this life-changing information on this journey of discovery that we're making. What does that imply, by the way?
You're going to progress further together?
Ah, that's right. It implies a relationship. It implies that I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm your leader on an adventure. I'm sharing something. But as I said, will you guys make me a promise? Will you promise me? Will you promise me that you will understand that what I'm teaching you this weekend is a lot, but it's only just a taste of everything that's contained in that special offer back there, because that contains everything I've ever taught since I started my career in 1993, plus my newest course that very few people have. Who has my Rapid and Total Success with Women course? No one. One person. How is it different from the other courses that you bought from me, if you have before? It's not a collection. It's an actual organized course where, oh, I want to go back and see how I do pickup. I'm going to go to this section. Plus it has notes. It's really, really well organized. But I'll stop selling you because I know you can sell yourself for all the right reasons that you can think about.
Really well organized, yes.
Yes.
Sexual aggression and...
What did you think of the sexual aggression part? If you were to come up here and teach the sexual aggression part, what are the main parts in that?
to create a sexual state.
Yes, creating a sexual state. What else?
And
But let's get back to this. You guys can just imagine what's in the course in a way that really excites you. Hear it again. Imagine, think, do. Now, how do we set up these commands? I'm not going to just walk up to a girl and say, think sexual thoughts about me, Debbie. Right?
No.
Or, Debbie, I'm going to order you to come home with me tonight. I'm probably not going to do that. Why not?
It's too direct.
Too direct. So instead, one of the things I like to do is to say, is to use things like a person can. That's what I call a weasel phrase. A weasel phrase sets up a command. A person can feel horny. Or my friend was saying that when a person begins to feel horny. Do you get it? So these commands and suggestions can be dropped in anything we do. Virtually anything we do in speed seduction, whether it's a classic pattern, and we're going to go through and analyze today what makes for a good classic pattern. Whether it's a classic pattern or whether it's a game or a quiz, they're delivery vehicles for suggestions and commands. Do we understand? Yes.
I notice you do this a lot when you do a pattern. You just send them to the future for some reason. Just mention the future. Why is that?
Well, sometimes I will do that. You know, I don't always do that, but imagine a time in the future when you're really enjoying this. Because again, it's progression, it's pseudo-orientation in time. It's a hypnotic technique, basically, getting someone to imagine the future. And it's a process that women do anyway. When a woman really enjoys a guy, she can imagine a time when she's really free to enjoy. Whenever that might be. It's what people do anyway. So everything we do is a way to set up these commands and suggestions. Now, I step on it. When I'm here in front of the room working with someone, I'll step on it just a little bit and say, it's not necessary to feel that happening right now. Do you get it? I'll step on it a little bit. Why do I step on it? I step on it so you guys can hear it. I wouldn't normally step on it that badly. Okay, so I just wanted to show you something. I'm going to go back and forth between the secrets and the natural thing. Okay. Naturals know where challenge is and where the power is, which means don't over-validate. Don't over-validate, don't always respond, and selectively reinforce. But more importantly, don't over-validate. People talk to me about text game. What do you think about texting? I don't like texting, and I don't like playing around on Facebook.
It's not
Because they're ways of giving women attention who have no intention of doing anything with you whatsoever. Do you follow me?
Yes.
Yes.
So we want to avoid these things as much as possible.
So it's another question.
Yeah, sure. Belt that question out.
When you say validation, what do you really mean? 'Cause
Any kind of attention. Any kind of attention. I don't want to give women a lot of attention prior to us getting physically involved. I don't want to text them a lot or call them a lot or Facebook them a lot. It's a way to get your time wasted by women who are looking for guys to orbit around them. You see, you know, you ever, why are you laughing at that?
Because it's true.
Huh?
It's true.
agree with you on this one.
It's extraordinarily true. Some women just love the attention. They have orbiters. I had a girl give me this term early, many, many years ago. She said, "Oh, don't worry about that guy. He's just an orbiter." I look at men as satellites moving around my star. I'm like, okay, exit stage left. Right? Not a good thing.
But Haley was saying that she felt validated by you. How much validation?
Oh, stop. That was in person, face to face. It wasn't done through phone or texting and playing little games before we even met each other. She felt validated by me when we were having that dinner together, because I was validating her in a good way. I didn't say you shouldn't validate. I said don't over-validate and don't do it before you've met the person face to face, for Christ's sake. Does that make sense?
Yes.
We've gone through some of this. Thank you. Naturals have just 2 or 3 approaches they do well. At whatever stage, from opening to sex, they don't have a wide variety of things they do. They just do a few things well. This is really, really important. If you have tons and tons of stuff you do, you're going to get confused. You only want 1 or 2 things that you do and you do well, right? Does this make sense? Okay. Naturals never attempt to make the sale. They're the brand women want to buy. What this comes down to is don't chase and don't attempt to impress. How many guys have ever tried chasing after a woman who wasn't interested? And how many tried to impress that woman? And how many found the more you did that, the less interested she was? Okay. Avoid that mistake. I wouldn't call that an operating system error. I would just call that butt plug dumb. Right? This is great. Naturals don't have to win. Naturals know that no matter how skilled you are, there's always a large element of randomness and chaos with women and circumstances beyond their control. There's a fantastic book about resolving depression by a guy, Dr. Michael Yapko, called Breaking the Patterns of Depression. And he talks about how one of the depressive patterns is depressives tend to try to take control or responsibility for things that are utterly out of their control, as well as assuming they have no control in situations where they do. It's an error on both sides of the fence. And I would say, excuse me, I've had this time and again where I've done the Sarge perfectly and the woman still flakes on me. It just happens. I did this amazing Sarge on this woman at a local coffee place. She walked in and she was super hot. She was wearing one of these knit tops with no bra, a nipple was sticking out. I thought, okay, she's over advertising, but what the hell? And so I opened her by saying, can I ask you a question? Do you do a spiritual discipline? Do you meditate? And she started going, oh yes, I'm into this, this, and this, and blah. Anyway, she was within half an hour to coming over to my house when she called me on the phone and said, I can't make it, my boss just called me into work. But Sunday might be really good, right? Might be. Uh-oh, I hear that means I'm fucked. And she's texting me from work, oh, I'm still at work, I'm still at work. I'm like, okay, fuck you. Do I know what really happened? I have no idea. Although she was texting me things like 1 a.m., 4 pages of text of poems she wrote. So I assume she just had some fucking manic episode and ran off with an elephant. I don't know what the fuck she did. But too many of you are too worried when things... I want you to look and see. I looked at that Sarge. I said, did I do anything wrong? I thought maybe I could have played with her a little more on the phone. I could have gotten her on the phone and got her a little bit hotter and whatever. It's just too much work. I don't want to do that. I have a percentage of women who flake on me. I have women who, no matter what I do, there's just no response. Nothing works on everyone. But one of my beliefs is I'll either get what I desire, or I'll enjoy learning what I need to get what I desire, or both. And I'll be lucky enough not to get what I desire, because what I desire would be destructive, harmful, and wrong. Sometimes the best thing that could happen is that you don't get what you desire. Sometimes the best thing that can happen is a psycho runs away. Believe me, oh my God, did I learn my lesson. I hope I learned my lesson. Are you following me?
Yes.
Is this of interest to you?
Yes.
No, I don't think it is. By the way, get up here, Hassan. Am I picking on Hassan? Or am I checking my work?
Checking.
I'm picking on him. How are we doing?
Good.
Did you go out and test this?
No.
Give me your hat. Now, what prevented you from going out and testing this?
Well, we tried to do some approaches, me and forgot the
That was the first violation,
That's right.
taking other people along with you. I
But
said,
we
you
were
go do
just
it.
having lunch and we thought, why not?
Okay,
Just do it.
all right.
But
By the way, that's not a bad attitude. Why not? Just do it. And if you don't know what to do, think of them. If you're not sure what to do, think, what is the one thing I could do that's so outrageous it moves me closer to being the kind of person I really want to be?
So let's see what happens. Go for it.
Right?
That's right.
Go ahead.
yeah, so I really tried, but I couldn't really. I still had too much anxiety to approach.
Okay, so that's honest. Let's work with that. So when you said you had anxiety, again, it's not something that you have, it's something that you're producing.
Yeah.
Do we understand?
Yeah.
So this is a case where we have to move in a different way. I'm flexible. There's 12 different ways I have to eliminate approach anxiety. So let's try 2 different methods. Would you like to see?
Yeah.
So have a seat here. We're going to try a different way. Okay. First of all, one different way is to assign more pain to not approaching. Is there some political group that you really hate?
No.
Well, is there some religious group you can't stand? Like,
No.
there's no racist party that you really think is obnoxious, that you wouldn't contribute money to?
No.
Soccer club.
Huh?
Soccer club.
Is there some soccer club that you don't like?
Yes.
What? What soccer club is that?
Liverpool.
Liverpool. Do they have some kind of organization that supports them?
Well, they've got like a board that's like an American company that owns
Okay.
it.
One way to do that, what would be an amount of money which if you lost it, it would hurt, but it wouldn't ruin you financially?
£500.
500 pounds, would that sting pretty badly?
Yeah.
What would, let's get something that would sting even more. What would sting even more than that?
If I lost my car.
No, we don't want to go that far, but money-wise.
Oh, money-wise. £1,000.
Okay, here's the one way to get over this. I'm not kidding, okay? This Liverpool team, do they have merchandise like caps and T-shirts and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Where do you buy those things?
Online.
Can you buy them in some other place or personally, or
Yeah, they've got a store at their club.
where is that?
It's in Liverpool.
Okay, is it far from here?
Yes.
How far is Liverpool? Huh?
200 miles.
Okay. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to find your best friend, someone who you really trust, who you would never lie to. You're going to give him £1,000. And you're going to tell him, if I don't talk to 100 women, if I can't honestly report to you that I've talked to 100 women in the next 2 weeks, I want you to go and buy $1,000, £1,000 worth of this Liverpool merchandise. I'm not kidding. Sometimes this is the only way to move people, is to put them in a situation where there's more pain if they don't. Now, if you absolutely knew that £1,000 of your money would go to buy Liverpool merchandise, would you approach those women?
Yes.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yes.
So, this is the way to get you. You need to withdraw £1,000 and give it to your friend and say, look, if I can't honestly tell you within 2 weeks that I've talked to, 50 women? Gone up and talked to 50 women, then you're going to spend it on Liverpool merchandise. I want you to sit there for a minute and stew in that. Now, that's one technique. Another technique is, it's not that you're anxious about approaching women, it's that you try to hide it and you're ashamed of it. Do you understand?
No.
If you went up to a woman and honestly said, look, I'm really, really scared to talk to women, I'm doing my best to overcome my fear, I just wanted to say hello. And at about 30 seconds from now, my fear is going to disappear. So check your watch. It might be 35 seconds, it might be 25 seconds. Check your watch, Debbie, and see if you can tell the exact time my anxiousness disappears. Go. Guaranteed she'll check her watch. And guaranteed your anxiousness will disappear. It's not the fear, it's anxiety. It's anxiety times shame equals freezing. Do you get it? Mm-hmm. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
That's another technique. Do you follow?
Yeah.
I don't think you do. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I had a student who had terrible stage fright at my last seminar. I said, I tell you what you do. In a minute, I'm going to tell you to look at the audience and say, I'm terribly frightened. The first 35 seconds I talk, and he really was. So everyone look at their watches and see if you can see the exact minute my fear drops. It won't be before 20 seconds, but it won't be more than 35. Everyone go. Everyone looked at their watches. And then I said, do it again. He was by the third time, he was fine. So that's another approach. Do you understand?
Yeah.
What's the matter? You don't look like you're congruent here. What's going on with you?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Here's another assignment. I want you to talk to 100 women, but go up and chatter at them in Urdu. Would you be afraid if you knew that woman would not understand one word that you said?
No, but she'd still think I'm weird.
So? If someone doesn't think I'm weird at least once a week, I'm not living large. I am weird. Painfully weird. But there's another way to do it. When you feel anxious, here's what I want you to do. We're going to try something else. This is part of what I call skill at feel. Okay? Here's what I want you to do. So I want you to tune into this. Can you get that feeling of anxiety back in your body? Do you know what it feels like to feel anxious?
Yeah.
Okay. Close your eyes for me a minute and describe to me, where does the anxious feeling start? Where does it start?
I think it starts in my heart, and then it just kind of starts pounding and stuff, and then
Where does it go?
to my head, basically.
And what's the feeling in your head? When it goes to your head, what does it feel like?
Almost kind of hurts a little bit because there's like a lot of stuff going on.
Okay. And then where does it go?
Kind of like the longer I let it go, it kind of like would take over your whole body, kind of thing.
Okay. So here's what I want you to do. In a minute, I want you to get that anxious feeling back, and here's what we're going to do. You're not going to try to relax. You're not going to try to change it. But every 10 seconds, you're going to notice whether it's the same or changing. Now, the feeling can change in a lot of ways. It could get more intense. It could get less intense. It could change locations. It could change quality. A gripping could become a tingling. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's going to sound like this. Same. Same. Changing. Same. Changing. Do you understand? So every 10 seconds, label out loud. You ready? Go. Out loud, do the labeling.
Same. Changing. Same.
Every 10 seconds, label.
Same.
Perfectly fine.
Same.
Perfectly okay. You're doing great. Every 10 seconds, same or changing.
Changing.
Remember, don't try to relax it. Don't try to change it. Just let it be there. I'm going to sneeze. Don't let it. It won't interrupt you.
Same.
Keep going.
Same. Same.
Same is perfectly fine. There's nothing better or worse than same.
Same.
Now watch this. As you're feeling the feeling, here's a little bit of instructions. I want you to tune into the very border of where the feeling is. For example, look at me just for a minute. Let's say you feel a tightness in your throat. There's some place where that tightness stops, where the feeling doesn't go any further than that. Like I gave that story where I hit my thumb. Remember that story? There's a reason why I told that story. And I said it radiates all the way to there and it kind of diminishes there, so that's where I held my attention. So do it again, but this time don't try to change it, but hold your border at the very edge of the feeling. Do you understand what I want you to do? Okay, hold your attention on the border. Go ahead.
Same. Same.
Now, hold your attention at the very border of the feeling. Do you understand?
Changing.
Continue to hold your attention at the border of the feeling where it just fades from consciousness.
Changing. Changing. Same. Same.
Now, as you're doing that, I want you to see, is there any area inside of that feeling, any local area inside that feeling that's less intense, that has less of the feeling?
What do you mean?
Okay, like if you've got a gripping here, there's some part of that where it's not quite as intense as any other part. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Do that. Are you guys okay with this?
Yeah, sure.
Same or changing?
Changing. Changing.
And if at some point the feeling completely vanishes, just say gone. So same, changing, or gone.
Changing. Gone.
Was it really gone?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's an exercise I want you to do. All right? Take about 5 to 10 minutes a day, sit in a chair, get the feeling, and then note the feeling. Same or changing. And then what you need to do, if it's not changing after like 5 minutes, tune into the very border. Hold your attention on the border of the feeling and see what happens. And then if there's still the feeling there, find some place where the feeling's not quite as intense and focus in on that. Do you understand? It's not the feel itself that creates the suffering. It's the pain times resistance equals the suffering. Let's do something else. Go back to the feeling, and this time tighten your muscles around it and try to talk yourself out of it. Okay? Now, when you tighten your muscles and try to talk yourself out of the feeling, what happens to your subjective sense of suffering? Does it increase or decrease?
Right now it's decreasing, but I don't think that would happen
Right,
in
exactly.
reality.
Okay, so that's another thing you do. You practice at home, so when you're out in the world, you tune into the feeling. Listen to me, when you get that feeling, hold your attention on the border of it, and then it will diminish and dissipate.
Okay.
You understand? But I think the best thing that's going to work for you is give £1,000 to your friend and say, if I don't honestly approach 50 women in the next 2 weeks, right? I didn't say you have to get phone numbers or anything. Your friend buys $1,000 worth of Liverpool merchandise.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like, if you make that commitment, I guarantee you, you will be done with the problem. Who believes me?
Yes.
Right? Question is it worth it to you? Will you make that commitment? In your case, there's going to be no pain-free way. In your case, you're going to have to put up with a little bit of an embarrassment, a little bit of uncomfortable feel to get where you want to go. The question is, are you willing to do it? Only you can decide that. Malin, do you need the computer from my room? No? Okay. What else? Let me ask you this. Did you practice any of what I showed you about staying grounded in your feet?
I did, yes.
Where did you practice?
In my house.
Okay. When you were out in the world and you felt nervous, did you ground into your feet?
I did.
And did it shift any of how you felt?
That made it much easier, because like before this I wouldn't not even consider approaching.
Okay.
But like I think I was like very, very close.
Okay, now there's another method we could use. So stand up. Excuse me. I'm going to tell you to say a sentence. And when I tell you to say the sentence, you can put your hands down. I want you to notice how it feels in your body, okay?
Okay.
So, say this sentence. I want confidence with women.
I want confidence with women.
Okay? How's that feel? Does it produce anything for you? Okay, now try this. I claim confidence with women.
I claim confidence with women.
Now this one. I claim my confidence with my women.
I claim my confidence with my women.
Okay? How does that feel in the body?
A little bit.
Okay, how about this? I claim my confidence with my women who please, satisfy, and delight me in every perverted way now.
I claim my confidence with my women who please and satisfy me in every perverted way that I want.
Every perverted and delightful way now.
Every perverted and delightful way now.
How does that feel?
Funny.
That's funny, okay. So we've given you a lot of a variety of different techniques. You have to pick what works. But it brings back your question, how do we know it's going to work in the real world? And again, I want to suggest multiple repetitions and multiple practice,
Okay.
okay? And don't go out with friends. I didn't tell you to go out with friends. When you go out with friends, then you're performing for other people. That adds additional pressure. I think
that was the case as well.
Say it again.
I think that was the case as well.
One more time.
I think that was the case.
So you did not follow instructions. I said go out yourself and do it. So let's try going out yourself and doing it using the first practice I gave you. Fair enough?
Yeah.
All right, go have a seat. So, do a behavior, feel a feeling, think a thought or thoughts. I'm coming back to this. Everything we do is designed to embed these commands and suggestions or further draw out the person's attention and imagination. You get it?
Yes.
Question, please.
Yes. Hold on 1 minute. One minute. Whoa, give me a second. Okay, go ahead.
What happened to Hassan in my personal case, what happens is that sometimes whenever I approach a woman, and I actually do that, I have...
Stop. I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry. I know where you're going. Go ahead. I apologize.
Every time I do an approach, the moment I am doing that, I have zero fear.
Zero fear.
Absolute confidence.
Right.
It works perfectly. Sometimes other aspects of my life, even my work or whatever,
Right.
creates a negative state.
Right.
where I sometimes feel that in those days I'm not at my best. What would you recommend? A practice before you leave to your house? Would you recommend?
We're going to get into some of that. It's going to seem the new age, airy, gay foo-foo stuff. So I'm doing this first to satisfy people who want this, who came here for this, so I don't get complaints. Okay? We'll get there. Okay, so these are the workhorses of speed seduction. Commands. Do this. Think that. Feel that. Do you understand? Now, one of the ways I like to set up using commands and suggestions is to talk about other people. Use quotes. You know, my friend was saying it's like you can stop and picture this opportunity in front of you. Okay? So, quoting other people is a way to set up these commands and suggestions. Does that make sense? It's a very simple way. Has anyone ever used this stuff to get women? Yeah? Tell me, what did you do? You want to be on camera?
No.
Okay, off with the camera. Come here.